years ago, I dated a guy for about a year, but we had to break up because I was dealing with family issues. My ex then started seeing a girl from my village. Since it's such a small place where everyone knows each other, it was inevitable that I'd find out about them. They were always together, which was hard to miss whether I was out with friends or just running errands. This situation plunged me into depression, partly because of my ongoing family problems and also because of this guy, whom I was still calling. Time passed, I got over my depression, and then he came back into my life, claiming he missed me and things weren't the same with the other girl. However, he was still with her when he said this. Despite knowing this, I admitted I missed him too. He broke up with her to get back with me, but we only lasted 2 weeks before he left me again for her. This time, it didn't hurt as much as before, and I managed to move on again. But then he reached out once more, begging for us to get back together. I agreed, but during this round of our relationship, his ex contacted me, asking if we were still together because he was trying to get back with her. At first, I thought she was lying, but she sent me screenshots of him saying he planned to leave me for her again. Shocked by his audacity, I ended things for good and surprisingly became good friends with the other girl. We were both outraged by his actions, realizing he had been playing us both. So, we decided to team up for a little revenge, with her keeping me in the loop about what he said and shared with her. We didn't initially know what to do with all the messages until we devised a plan. The plan was for them to meet up, and I would surprise him by showing up unannounced so both of us could confront him together. The plan worked perfectly. The girl arrived first, acting as if nothing was wrong, and then I showed up. Seeing his face at that moment was probably one of the best moments of my life, witnessing his total confusion. After confronting him, she and I became great friends, and he ended up alone. Ironically, he still tries to get back with both of us, continuing to reach out, showing his hypocrisy. But I've moved on. I now have a boyfriend, and I'm truly happy, having been together for 4 years. Share your story and follow me on Instagram. In December, I fell for a guy who lived in a neighborhood close to mine, only about 10 minutes away. Coincidentally, my great-grandparents live in that same neighborhood, so I visit quite frequently. Then, in January, one of my best friends messaged me, gushing about her crush. Curious, I didn't ask his name until she revealed it was Alex, the same Alex I had feelings for, the one I'd visit my great-grandparents to see. But wanting her to be happy, I kept my feelings to myself, even when she asked for my help to win him over. Despite feeling upset whenever she'd share screenshots of their flirty messages, I stayed silent because I hadn't disclosed my feelings in time. One day, I posted on my Instagram story, asking for people to send me their photos with the caption, "Show off by sending me your picture." A mutual friend from Alex's neighborhood sent me his photo, which I posted, unknowingly stirring things further. After I posted it, my best friend immediately asked me who it was. I casually mentioned it was Lavaro, intending to introduce him, but she insisted on being introduced to Alex instead, the very guy I had a crush on. She wanted me to post a picture of her too, hoping Alex would see it and ask about her. Reluctantly agreeing to help, I passed her message along. When Alex inquired about her, my friend suddenly got cold feet, asking me not to reveal her identity, a frustrating moment, but I respected her wish. Days passed, and they began dating. My friend would send me screenshots of their conversations, which deeply hurt me since I still had feelings for Alex. The situation worsened when she sent me a photo of them kissing, shattering my heart. Despite my pain, I continued talking to Alex, just as friends. They broke up within a month, and while waiting for my friend to move on, Alex started dating someone else, plunging me back into depression. Eventually, my friend got over him, and I saw my chance. Alex and I began flirting subtly. We'd stay up late chatting, something special that I hadn't experienced with anyone else. One night, after posting a self-deprecating joke about not being loved on Instagram, Alex responded, declaring his love for me. Shocked and not great at expressing my feelings, I simply replied, Really, he confirmed, but the conversation quickly shifted, leaving the moment awkward. The next day, I mustered all my courage to address his confession, still feeling incredibly shy about the whole ordeal. Imagine my embarrassment when, the next day, I awkwardly broached the subject of his confession from the previous night. I honestly told him I had feelings for him too, only to receive a nonchalant, "Oh, that's cool." I had no idea in response. I was crushed by his indifference and confided in a friend who tried to console me with reassurances that I deserved better. Shockingly, she then admitted to telling him about my feelings because I hadn't mustered the courage to do so myself. He hadn't believed her, which only added to my humiliation. 3 days later, he messaged me again, acting as if nothing had happened and wondering why I was distant. How could he expect anything else after essentially rejecting me? Yet, he had the audacity to flirt with me again, despite previously showing interest in my best friend, his ex, and trying to play us both. For my own sanity and out of loyalty to my friend, I cut off communication with him. But life has its ironies. The person I started liking next was yet another ex of my best friend. That didn't go anywhere, and my crush ended up getting back with my best friend. She never knew about my feelings for either of them. It makes me feel like a terrible friend, but such is life, full of ups and downs. If you're a kid, please stay till the end of this story because it's really important for you to start developing. That is, my shoulders broadened, my chest grew, I lost weight. This change was so drastic that when I returned to school, all my classmates were shocked. Boys in 5th and 6th grade, with their hormones all over the place. Well, during a break, 4 boys, 2 from 5th and 2 from 6th grade, came up to talk to me out of nowhere. Innocently, I thought they just wanted to be friends, and since I didn't have many friends, I accepted to spend the break with them. They told me they were going to take me to their special place. I was really happy at the moment because I thought they wanted me to be part of their group, and they took me behind the cafeteria, a place that wasn't very visible to teachers or crowded by people. There, the 2 5th grade boys grabbed my arms really tightly while one of the 6th graders checked if a teacher was coming, while the other 6th grader was lifting my skirt. In my desperation, I came up with the brilliant idea to kick the one who was holding me by giving him a low blow. So I hit him hard and I ran to the principal's office and reported them. I managed to get them expelled. Girls, never let anyone touch you. In my class, there were 4 girls who always bullied me. They put gum in my hair, made fun of me. I endured this because I wanted to avoid trouble, thinking if I didn't have everyone's support, then it was better not to provoke them. Everyone would turn against me. I put up with their bullying for about 4 years. But in 4th grade of secondary school, I got tired and set them straight during one of their presentations, in front of the whole class. They were presenting on development and hormones. By the way, it's worth mentioning that in 4th grade, I still hadn't developed. I had no breasts, no hips, and had a little belly. However, every time I looked at myself in the mirror, I told myself that it was just a matter of time. Anyway, during their presentation, one of them made a part of their presentation about me. The girls explained the reason why some people are late in developing and explained the cases for both men and women. But when talking about women, she used me as an example and asked me to stand up, then started explaining why I was so flat, using hurtful words, in front of everyone. Everyone started laughing, obviously, including the teacher. I was embarrassed, obviously, because everyone was making fun of me. But I didn't crumble because I had an ally in good taste. I felt bad for that girl who, in part, after my entire class laughed at me for being called flat, stood up bravely and said, "Seriously, do you think it matters?" She might not have physical development, but she has a lot of intellectual development. In the end, she won't die or get sad for not having a boyfriend. She doesn't care about that. However, she would die if she couldn't get into university. To her, only her intellectual capability matters, which is quite logical. Stop valuing physical appearance over intelligence. But anyway, you're not ready for this conversation. After that, my teacher yelled at her for interrupting her classmates who were giving their presentation. She and I were stunned because it was my best friend defending me, But when it came to the teacher, she remained silent and even laughed. That's when I began to speak up. Teacher, you're a huge hypocrite. In many classes, you talk about self-esteem and self-love. But when you see someone making fun of another person's body, you stay quiet and even laugh. But let me tell you something, you can keep your mockery. As for you, girls, if right now getting more suitors and boyfriends are your goals, my goals are not limited to that but to get good grades and scholarships. I don't care about my body. In the end, if I manage to become the doctor I want to be, I will heal myself for free. So, please don't tell me these types of stories. You should bear in mind the significant age difference between a 15-year-old girl and a 26-year-old adult. This happened to me when I was in the first year of high school, and a 26-year-old teacher came to teach. Many girls felt very attracted to him. However, I was the only one who managed to have a very close relationship with the teacher because I was kind to all teachers in general and also because I am a very applied girl. That is, I had very good grades. This also pleased my teachers a lot. I came to be mentally friends with the teacher until, to the point where after class, the teacher and I would meet to discuss topics from the class. Over time, I began to notice that my teacher was constantly driving away my suitors. That is, boys who liked me. It seemed that whenever a boy came to talk to me, the teacher would dismiss him by asking a question to make him leave quickly. After 2 months, my teacher stopped talking to me and even started to ignore my assignments. I had to submit a super important essay for my course, and since the name was not on it, he returned it to me 5 times without corrections, without telling me what was wrong, without a grade. I got frustrated and cried. When he saw me, he approached me, wanted to see all my progress, apologized, and told me he simply had not graded my essay because he was very stressed and upset. He said he would grade everything. That teacher remained very strange with me. He did not talk to me, avoided me, and we no longer had that student-teacher relationship we used to have. Now, on to the news about my parents. My parents mentioned that we would be moving at the end of the course, which was a surprise to me because I didn't know anything about it. A few days before the end of the course, they organized the typical gift exchange, but I was sick that day and did not go to class. Despite missing the exchange, I did go because it was also a farewell among all the students and teachers. The thing is, my teacher did not attend. Well, as the event was about to end, a teacher gave me a small box and said that my teacher had sent it. I was so surprised that I wanted to always keep the box until I got home. Then, when I opened the box, I realized it contained a gold necklace and a small letter where he said goodbye and expressed everything he felt for me. I was like, what? After all this, I heard that there was a rumor about me. Completely false. As someone had said, I was too pretty to be smart. Girls, it turns out I didn't like the teacher, and I gave away the necklace because I didn't like that memory. Throughout the time I needed for distraction, I installed an app that allowed me to talk with people from around the world. Through it, I met a guy who, despite his religion and culture, was very friendly and had an open mind. However, as days passed, this guy began to act very strangely. He started to overwhelm me with excessive and exaggerated comments, making me uncomfortable. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he asked me out, meaning he wanted to go on a date with me, which shocked me because we lived on different continents, millions of kilometers apart. He didn't seem to realize the distance because he kept insisting over and over again, and I repeatedly said no. Then, he began to show his extremist side, making offensive jokes, particularly about homosexuality, which made me very uncomfortable as I do not condone mocking this community. As days went by, he asked if I had a boyfriend, to which I said yes, and his behavior turned worse. He then asked if I had been sexually active, and upon my affirmation, he started to insult and belittle me. What he was implying was that I had ruined my life by becoming sexually active before marriage and insinuated that my value as a woman had diminished. I want to emphasize something very important here. Having had sex does not make you more or less of a woman. It's simply an experience, and society has wrongly ingrained the idea that a woman's worth is tied to her sexual history, which is not true. Consider it just a new stage in your life. Continuing with the story, my boyfriend intervened in the conversation with the Arab guy. However, this only made the guy more enraged. Ultimately, since he never came around to listen or understand what we were trying to explain to him, we decided to stop communicating with him. We ended up blocking him and also reporting him on the app. But wait, don't go yet. Regardless of your religion, never forget to always draw your own conclusions and question certain behaviors and thoughts. This will help you realize on many occasions whether what you're doing is truly right or not. Don't let yourself be carried away so much that if I die on the first day of 2020, besides that being my worst year almost that 2 days into the new year, my whole family was dancing and celebrating as normal, even my parents, who didn't realize their poor child was dying of sleep. It was 3 in the morning, and I was still hearing how they danced, sang, and how they also got drunk, among other things. At 3:30, my cousin comes and tells me, if you're sleepy, go to my room and sleep, and I'm going to decide with her. It's impossible. Impossible. At 4 in the morning, my cousin comes to check my door. Well, her door because it was her room, but in short, she comes to bother me and tells me to get up. We're going to buy chips. I looked at her with a face of what? Excuse me. It's 4 in the morning. What store is going to be open? She told me she knows a store that is. And when we went, obviously, it was closed. But can we please go now? I asked. She responds, no, it's just 4 blocks away. So let's go. And here by this lie occurs my misfortune, not given to me by 2020. Well, I was moving to another store for her chips at dawn on New Year's Day, and surprisingly, when we arrived at the supposed store, her boyfriend was there. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic because they had already agreed to meet there. And well, since my cousin's mom didn't let my cousin go alone for fear of letting them be alone, my cousin practically used me as a permission. The worst part was that her boyfriend brought his dog, I mean, his beautiful, precious little dog, to their romantic encounter. How is that super unromantic? My situation turns, I'm sleepy, I'm cold, and I'm disgusted because literally, they were like, it was crowded, and I was like, okay, I had so many dreams that I don't remember where they all came from. Everyone was there, complete with pyrotechnics, fireworks, and in an attempt to scare us on our side, they set off butterfly fireworks. But they didn't scare us. Instead, the reaction of my cousin's boyfriend's dog was to launch itself at my neck. After I had gone to the emergency room for all this, my doctor told my mom that her daughter was almost in pieces because the dog bit me a millimeter from the jugular. This happened on New Year's Eve last year. And well, to be utterly honest with you, nowadays, I dread family gatherings because every time all my relatives start boasting about their children. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but the problem arises from their desire to show off their children so much that they end up comparing all of us. And not just that, they compare themselves too. When it comes to these comparisons, I always end up getting hurt because through these comparisons, they mostly attack me because, according to them, I am the worst in every aspect. My son got first place. My son is outstanding, but your daughter isn't, so my children are better. Literally, this is what they say to my mom. Not just that, but they also comment on my appearance. My daughter has a better body than yours. My daughter is prettier, thinner, doesn't have cellulite, doesn't have stretch marks, doesn't wear makeup, has had more boyfriends. These are some other things they also tell my mom every year. But this doesn't just affect her. It affects me because my aunts are so brazen that they say it to my face. However, this year, I've had enough and decided to put each of my aunts in their place. Being quite shy, I wrote down what I was going to say instead of saying it out loud at dinner. We always pray and give thanks at dinner, and I supposedly was going to give my speech during the thanks, but I got discouraged, especially when I saw all my cousins there looking at me. And I didn't give my speech out of fear. However, as everyone began comparing their children again, during the feast, physically this time, the comments about me didn't hurt or affect me anymore. Instead, they made me angry and powerless. That's why I asked everyone to be silent and listen to what I had to say because I was so furious that I didn't give my prepared speech, but rather spoke from my heart. Addressing my aunts, I affirmed, "You're all right. I am fat. I have thick legs, and I look fantastic. I love my body. To me, being fat is no longer an insult, nor should it ever have been, because I'm healthy and that's what truly matters. I wish I had realized sooner that I am perfectly fine just the way I am. It took a while, but it's clear now that I approve of myself, and that's enough. You may try to bring me down and claim that I am less than your daughters, but I know that's not true. We're all unique, and no one is better than the other. Although I dare say I am a better person than you are. After saying this, I just continued eating. This happened at my best friend's birthday party. Before I dive into the story, I want to highlight something crucial. My best friend is incredibly social, connects with everyone, and maintains friendships across various circles, which is why her party was jam-packed with guests. Because I wasn't as sociable as she was. I barely knew anyone there, making me quite inept at flirting or even conversing with guys, as it always made me very nervous. Halfway through the party, my best friend had to leave my side to welcome more guests, leaving me on my own and unsure of what to do. I was so nervous that nobody was talking to me, but even then, I remained anxious until a somewhat handsome guy approached me and started making conversation. However, I wasn't interested in engaging because I felt uncomfortable talking to people, to the point where he probably got bored with my lack of response or continuation in the conversation. He approached me with a certain type, and I was like, "What type?" On his second attempt, he came towards me more determined to steal a kiss. That's when I put my hand around his neck, pulled a tuft of his hair, and yanked it out, causing everyone to look over because he screamed super loudly. Fast forward to when I was 6 years old, on Christmas Eve at around 12:10 a.m., Dear Santa appeared at the entrance of my house. At that moment, I started screaming with excitement because I obviously believed Santa Claus existed and was there specifically because he had read my letter and brought the gift I was so excited about. Let me explain the structure of my entrance. There was my primary gate, my staircase, and the door to my house located on the second floor, meaning you'd cross this door and find my living room. The problem was that the man dressed as Santa Claus didn't notice how many steps there were on my staircase and tripped, colliding with another family member standing beside him to the point where he became unbalanced, and Santa's head, the mask, fell off, revealing it was just a dressed-up man. The worst part was that this man scared me. I was literally frozen, staring at a man with Santa body and a stranger's head, which frightened me. In an attempt to fix the situation, my family quickly picked up Santa's head, put it back on, and then insisted I take a photo with Santa by sitting on his lap, which I reluctantly did but felt disgusted by. Last year, I went on an exchange to the USA, but beforehand, I had to find a host family there for my exchange to work. Finally, I found one and met them at the airport as I was coming off the plane. My 3 American siblings were there with welcome signs. However, things felt odd from the start because one of their signs said, "Will you go out with me?" Obviously, at that moment, I didn't pay much attention to that sign, but as time went on, days passed, and I noticed they always tried to get close to me, always wanted to be around me, always wanted to talk to me. This stressed me out because everyone needs their personal space. The thing is, eventually, all 3 of them confessed their feelings for me, and to each of them, I said no because, honestly, they were very toxic and possessive. They wouldn't let me hang out with my friends, saying the only friends I could have were them. They asked me out again, obviously each in private, and I rejected each one again. However, this time, they threatened me, and I got scared because this was turning into something weird and disturbing. This exchange was horrible because I never managed to make any friends because of them. The worst part is that a year after I returned to my country, they were coming to my country to see me. I got scared and went to London because I was on vacation.